Yes, it's a strange thing, crowding in. It's what nature does naturally. You look at trees, they don't grow in lines. They grow in clumps. You call it a wood. A beech wood, an oak wood, a forest. Well, a forest is typically, for instance, all pine wood, all pine trees, nothing but. Well, partly planted by man, but naturally on the mountainside, they're all pine trees. It's a bit different when you see the New Zealand bush. It's an incredible variety, and it's an interesting, full of life variety because the different forms of life are in harmony in a sense. They support each other. Whereas in the colder climates, they support their own. One poplar tree would blow over, but many poplars together, one oak tree would blow over. It has to cope with the full force of the wind, whereas somehow when it's backed, even if it's on the perimeter, it might not flourish as much, of course, being battered on the perimeter of the wood, but the bigger trees maybe in the middle, where they don't have to battle with most of the wind, only in the tops of their height, But in tropical areas, it seems you get jungle, an incredible variety. And yes, I wonder if colder climate people are more competitive, and that's why the commercial secular world took off in places like Europe, the colder parts of Europe, England, Germany, and so on. Industrialization took off there, didn't it? You could say there are other reasons, of course. They are coping with the cold, and therefore they had to be more able to survive than in a climate where the food was just on the trees to pick, you know what I mean, all the year round. I mean, in the colder climates, England, Germany, and so on, well, nothing grows in winter, it just stops. You have to exist on well, I existed on roots and kale and cabbage, Well, it was kale then, not cabbage. Unless, of course, you could hunt, and that, of course, forced man to use his dexterity and his cunning and focus the mind, and perhaps colder climates have forced man to be more technically able. He needs heating in winter, he needs insulation, he needs food somehow to get through, or he's dead with the cold. Life expectancy on average of a person on the street in colder parts of England was probably 3 years. It's no fun sleeping out in the snow. It's terrible. It's just terrible. Won't dwell on that. Thank you, Lord, for the provision you give us. Astonishing. And if it's such that we leave this world, we die from it, may we thank you that you have a better option for us. for your goodness and love. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. So yes, coming back to it, I plant my veg in clumps. You know, I don't plant a line of spinach. I plant an area of spinach. You could say roughly circular or something, you know, I mean. And okay, the ones on the border may still have to cope with some border, but at least they've got the backing of their own kind behind them, and to their right and to their left. If we think of a sort of a circular clump of spinach or broccoli or celery or, you know, and it seems to work. But having said that, if you want the variety, perhaps planting a mixture might be good. What happens if you plant, and I haven't done it, but deliberately mix the celery and the spinach and the kale and the herbs? Well, the herbs, we know they give protection. Some herbs definitely give protection to the other plants. You know, you plant marigolds and dandelions and basil, basil mint, amongst the other stuff. Well, the basil mint will crowd everything out if you're not careful, but better put that in a pot. But, you know, nearby, or part in the middle of the group, for instance, you know, so but in a pot, so it is contained. You don't want it taking over your veg plot. Same with the dandelions, of course. I mean, they'll just cover the veg plot, if you like. Even marigolds are pretty self-seeding. The sort of wild marigold, you know. It's fun growing. Anything to do with life can be fun. Well, anything that cares for life and tries to cultivate it and encourage it to grow and be its wonderful self. I'm come that you might have life. And if you're one of those that tries to encourage and give life, you will know that he blesses you even more than you can possibly bless. He does a greater thing in you than through you. But it's because you're reaching out, helping others, that you find you are so helped yourself. The goodness and grace of God. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.